Why is it so hard to find a good leader who can step in and make an immediate impact? If you lead operations at a manufacturing facility or a distribution center, you've probably asked yourself this. Why is it so hard to find a good leader who can motivate people and make an immediate impact? You've had the open role, you've interviewed people who look great on paper, maybe you just made a hire that just didn't work out. And now you're at the point where you're like, okay, I don't need just a body in the seat. I need the right person. Someone who can step in, learn the business, earn trust, align with the culture, stabilize the team, and actually drive results. And before you think this is only happening at your company, it's not. I see this with manufacturing and distribution leaders all across the country. I'm Renee Fry, and this is Building Your High Performing Team, where we help you hire smarter, reduce turnover, drive business results so you can finally sleep at night. If you want proven strategies to hire better and build teams that last, hit subscribe. We drop new insights every single week. Let me give you a specific example and tell me if this sounds familiar. Your plant manager gave a 2-week notice. Well, 2 weeks is not enough time to hire a strong plant manager. So now you have a huge gap to fill. And your whole team feels it. Output starts slipping, people are looking around for direction, issues start bubbling up, and instead of doing your own job, you're pulled back into the day-to-day that you climbed out of years ago. You're putting out fires that shouldn't be yours to put out anymore, so you do what most companies do. You have HR pull up the old job description from the last time you hired for the role. They get it posted, interviews start, you meet some people. A few months later, someone's in the seat. And then 6 months after that, you know it's not working. They're not delivering what you needed them to. The team is frustrated, you're frustrated, and now you're sitting there thinking, did we hire the wrong person again? Here's what I want to tell you, because I've watched this happen at a lot of companies. Most of the time, it was not just the person you hired. The hire was in trouble before they ever walked in for the interview because the role itself was never really defined. And that's what I want to talk about today. When a hire does not work out, the easy thing to do is blame the person you hired, or say the market is tough, or say good people are hard to find. And yes, sometimes that can be true, especially if your HR team is not equipped to go out and recruit people who are already gainfully employed, meaning they're just posting the job, waiting, hoping the right person applies. But more often than not, the real problem started way before the interview process. The job description was vague, or it was copied from an old job description that doesn't match what the company needs today. Or there were 3 different people involved in the hiring process, and they were all each looking for something different in the candidates, but nobody ever said that to each other out loud. So the company was not actually aligned. And now you're recruiting for a backfill before anyone has clearly defined what you're looking for. That's where the problem starts, because when you do not have a clear target, you can run a great search and still hire the wrong person. Not because the person is bad, but because they didn't match the target that was never clearly set in the first place. So let me say this plainly. You don't have a hiring problem, you have a clarity problem. The most important work in hiring an operations leader happens before you post the job, before you start interviewing, before you call it a tough market. It starts with getting clear on the role, and almost nobody slows down long enough to do that part well. So that's what I'm covering today. Today, I'm going to walk you through what clear actually looks like. There are about 7 things we look at, and before you think that's overwhelming, I promise you it's not overwhelming. But there are about 7 things we look at before we ever start a recruiting search for a manufacturing or distribution leader. And if you get these right, you dramatically increase your chances of hiring the right person the first time. First, be clear on the outcomes, not the tasks. Most job descriptions are a list of duties. Manage the warehouse team, oversee inventory, handle scheduling. That tells you what the person does day to day, but it doesn't tell you what they're supposed to achieve. Instead, ask, what has to be true a year from now for this hire to have been worth it? Maybe it's shipping accuracy is above 99%. Maybe it's production work over turnover has improved. Maybe it's I'm no longer getting pulled into the day-to-day. When you know the outcomes, everything else gets clearer, including who you're actually looking for. Second, be clear on the few things that truly matter. I see this constantly. A job description with 15 must-haves, 10 years of experience, this software, that certification, this specific industry experience, a degree, and on and on and on. And what you've described is basically a person who doesn't exist. You've described the unicorn, and the few who do exist aren't applying to your job posting. Credentials don't mean crap if they don't have the right personality and are not a fit for your company. What are some of the gaps on your team that need to be addressed? So you got to narrow it. What are the true must-haves that genuinely matter for this role? Be honest. Strip them down. Usually it's 3 to 4 real things and the rest are a wish list. Third, be clear on the difference between must-have and nice to have. This is the other side of that. A lot of companies treat everything on the list as required. The moment the candidate is missing one of the boxes, say they're from distribution instead of manufacturing, they get screened out, even though they could easily do that job. Go through your list and be honest about each one. Ask yourself, is this truly non-negotiable, or is it something that I'd like them to have? Because every fake must-have is shrinking your pool and sometimes down to nobody. Fourth is compensation alignment. Be clear that the level and scope and pay is in alignment. This one's really common. You have a senior role open, big responsibilities with large scope, runs the whole operations, manages salaried managers, but the budget you have is only for a mid-level person. Or reverse, you're paying well, but the role is written small, and a really excellent person looks at it and thinks, there's nothing here for me to grow into. Before you start recruiting, make sure those things align with each other. The seniority you're describing, what you're actually asking the person to own, and what you're willing to pay. If those don't match, you'll either get no good candidates or you'll get one and lose them at the offer. The fifth item, be clear on authority. What this person can actually own in their role. Operations roles fail all the time because someone's given responsibility but no real authority. You hire a phenomenal operations manager, but they can't change the schedule without 3 approvals. They can't make a call on a vendor. They can't move people around. So they're accountable for results they don't actually get to control. Great talent isn't going to stay in that. So decide up front, what can this person genuinely decide and own on their own? If the honest answer is not much, that's worth knowing before you hire, because it tells you what kind of person will actually be happy in that seat. The sixth item, be clear on the type of person your company needs. There are different kinds of operations leaders, and they are not interchangeable. Someone who's great at turning around a messy, broken operation is very different than someone who's great at scaling or growing one. Both are different from someone who's great at keeping a stable, well-run operation steady. Same titles, completely different people. So look at your actual situation. Are you in a mess that needs fixing? Are you growing so fast that you need someone to build? Are you stable and just need a steady hand? Hire for the situation you're in, not the title. The seventh item, be clear and aligned across everyone who has a say in helping you identify the right fit. Often the role gets defined by one person, say you, and then when interviews start, the operations director wants something a little different, and HR is screening for something else. 3 people, 3 pictures of the ideal hire, and nobody's talking to one another and saying it out loud. So before you write a word on that job description, get everyone who's going to have a voice in that decision in the room. and agree on what you're all looking for. The outcomes, the few things that matter, and the type. If you don't, you'll interview 5 good people and reject all of them because each one fails to match a target that nobody agreed on. So that's what clear looks like. Outcomes. The few things that matter, the honest must-haves, level and pay that are aligned, real authority that the candidate gets to have, the right type of person for your situation, and the whole interview team aligned. The reason this is hard to do on your own isn't that you're not capable. It's that you're too close to it. You're standing inside it, and you reach for that old job description out of habit, and you can't always see how the role reads to a strong candidate or what good even looks like in today's market. And we all know it's hard to see clearly from the inside because you're still in the forest. You got to get through the forest. And that's the part we spend most of our time on. People assume we just go out and find people. The real work, the part that decides whether the hire actually lasts, happens before any name comes up in getting that role right. So by the time we're talking to candidates, we already know exactly what we're looking for. So if you take one thing from this today, before you open your next operations role, get the job description right first. It'll save you more bad hires than anything else you'll do. And if that's the part you keep getting stuck on, that's where we come in. Get this right and you'll hire better. And that's the whole point. If this resonated and you found it valuable, share it with another hiring leader who's serious about building stronger teams. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We drop fresh insights every week to help you hire smarter and lead better. And if you're ready to fill a critical role or strengthen your leadership pipeline, visit talentq.net, where exceptional companies meet exceptional people. I'm Renee Fry, and this has been Building Your High-Performing Team from the recruiters who know your business. When your team is dialed in, that's when leadership feels effortless. Cheers for now, and I'll see you in the next one.